Practical AI applications, session 3. I didn't put the date in there. The graphic on the left there, I hopefully next week will explain how I use the mathematical geometric trigonometric shape to teach myself how to develop the prompts. And in this one, I believe this is the Boltzmann it's a Boltzmann equation, or it's a fractal tessellization, a fractal tessellization. Well, again, going back to my high school and college math, and it produced that. And it's amazing what this will be able to do for kids in math classes, the visualization aspects of math. But again, starting with cartoons, political science items, I wish I could remember where I got this one from. I've had to write down all the different interpretations that I got from this graphic, which is a robot holding up a human skull, claiming a laugh, which isn't that one of the opening lines from Shakespeare play Hamlet? That's what my interpretation was initially of this is AI ever going to be able to produce plays comparable to something that Shakespeare produced? If he worked with who was Kit Marlowe to produce them, but it's human beings that created these great dramatic pieces. Is AI going to be able to do it? So that was number one on that cartoon. Number two is it AI saying to a skull, a laugh, humans are gone? Isn't that too bad that humans are gone? And so at the end of time, it's also a vision of how our human condition is time dependent, and AI may not be time dependent. Alas, the AI with its limitations lives on forever, but we human beings that are in God's image are not going to last very long. So I bet you somebody else had another one as well. Like what's new? What happened in the news in the last week? As if there wasn't enough going on. You all saw the $50 billion Stargate proposal last week. I think they came out during our last meeting with, I think his name is Mayoshi-san from SoftBank, a Japanese hedge fund, and it had Oracle. They had the guy Ellison up there, and they had somebody else. Had three guys up there claiming that they're going to have $50 billion of investments into AI infrastructure. And then last week, also, the company X from Elon Musk said that in the city of Memphis, that they've released they launched their Colossus AI data warehouse of 10,000 NVIDIA processors that cost $50,000 a piece. So do the math on that. I'm a little disappointed that he used the term Colossus. If you know the history of computing at all, that was the machines that Bletchley Park during World War II, they built. There were two different systems that they created. They created the Bombe, B-O-M-B-E, which was the code breaker. And then they built Colossus, which was the systems. They built 10 of them, 10 Colossus systems that did the ongoing cracking of the Enigma code that the German military used. Why would Elon want to co-opt that term? Then, if you watch the stock market at all, the next item here was a company in China released a new AI called DeepSeek. I tried to sign up for it, but it was overwhelmed. It costs only 5% of the cost of the US AIs to train this thing. And I've subsequently read up on DeepSeek. There's a number of different realities in there. They do use open source material to create it, first off. So, Facebook, Meta has created, Zuckerberg has created open source AI called Llama, Llama, that they have started with. They use the weights and biases of Llama, and then they fine tune it with new material, and they reduce the refinements of the whole AI. So it's in the edge cases, it will make more mistakes. So last week we presented errors, the percentage of errors that the foundation models, the cutting edge AIs make. Well, it's 1 and 2 and 3% of their inferences of what they come up with is in error. DeepSeek makes more errors, but it's less expensive to produce the AI overall. I don't know if that makes sense. Another one, daily tidings. Those of you who've been around Ashland for a period of time, Maureen and I have been here about 12 years now, 13 years. There was a newspaper called the Daily Tidings that was bought out by the Medford Mail Tribune that then went under. And then the title, the Daily Tidings, ashlandtidings.com, was sold, and an AI firm is now producing a newspaper, an online like newspaper that's generated by AI. So if you want to see an AI generated newspaper, go to dailytidings.com and you'll see all the news stories that the AI is producing. It's not that bad, actually. And then I talked about how ChatGPT released chatgpt.gov for government people to use for AI. So if you work in National Geo, the name of the Geoinformation Agency, they wouldn't let AI into the office. Same with up at Fort Meade, north of Washington. They wouldn't let any AIs into the building for fear that they'd get hacked. And now they're making their own AIs available. NSA, Geospatial Agency, National Geospatial Agency, now have their own AIs. So this is in the news. What we're going to look at today is general purpose tools. These are becoming very widely available. The graphic up here on the left, you can see the model starting to collapse. There's a mathematical symbol. It's a the advanced mathematical symbol, but the model that creates it puts all these small little globules, these small globes in it. That's the model is collapsing and putting in errors into it. That's called model collapse. And that's one of the things you're going to hear about this deep seek that caused the collapse in NVIDIA stock, a $600 billion drop in its value. But you're going to see they're using synthetic information that they make up themselves, and that's going to let errors creep into their inferences, to the results that they produce. It will put errors into the results, into the inferences, the statistical inferences. So we will also, again, the corpus is what I was talking about for DeepSeek. That's what they're doing differently, is they're using a different corpus. They are in effect cheating. They're doing a very interesting thing. I wouldn't want them working with my doctor's information, but I guess the tokenization very quickly, when OpenAI does it, they use floating point. They use 32 decimals to the right of the decimal point for OpenAI. This DeepSeek only uses 8 digits to the right of the decimal point. So the edge case scenarios, it's going to make a lot more mistakes. The other aspect of it, using the term compute. The OpenAI models take a huge amount of computation. The computers have to run forever. They have to draw immense amounts of electricity to do the computing, to add all of the new information into the AI. This new DeepSeek does less compute because of the number of decimals to the right of the decimal point. It has much less compute to do. We're going to hopefully see a little bit again this markdown, which is the unusual text when you copy and paste from an AI's results of a query. It has a bunch of information in it that seems extraneous. It's the markdown. I wanted to bring this agentic up. It's getting AI to do multiple step processes. And please bear with me. I'll try to do this in less than 30 seconds. I was at the doctor's office. They have all these nice computer systems. They can look up for 15 doctors, all of their schedules from one computer, but the one clerical person, it took them about 5 minutes to find an open appointment on a Thursday after lunch. She had to click, click, click through it. A human had to do all those tasks. They acted as an agent to do all those tasks. The agentic or the agent AIs, what you will be able to say to a medical system, find all of the appointments after lunch on Thursdays in February, and then put Mr. Gerard on the first one that is available on a Thursday at 1 o'clock. And it will do that. It will do a multi-step process. It will act as an agent unto itself to complete the multi-stage process. If you remember last week, we looked at workflow. What are the steps necessary to complete any office type process? or business process. Very important, I think, in large organizations nowadays. I did the process of me putting together a presentation. I went through all of these 8 steps. The task is to look at these and determine which ones are best done with or aided by an AI. Generating ideas. It will generate ideas on talking about Apple intelligence. It will generate the ideas. It will help me draft the documents. It will certainly help me edit the documents, find the errors, the spelling errors, the expressions that aren't easily assimilated, and it will do the final draft. That's the one thing that's difficult for me now, is that I don't have people read other than Maureen. Maureen's very helpful in reading through these for errors. When I was in an office, I had multiple people reading documents that I would prepare before they were presented. There would be multiple people. I'd have to make multiple edits. That became the bane of my existence, was going through the whole staffing of a document for presentation. This is some of the software that's in the workflow. Imagine you work at an office nowadays. Knowledge work, a knowledge worker. That was a big term back in the 90s and the aughts. Well, I am a knowledge worker. I was the knowledge manager at the Peace Corps for a few years. But all of these software packages are part of the stack, I guess they would call them, of tools available for office people to use. Word processing, of course. Used to have secretarial staff do the word processing. You'd dictate it, and then the secretary would type it in, and then it'd be edited. Messaging, text messaging, this is very big. There's Atlassian, there's Slack, where you'll have 6 or 7 people on your programming team, let's say, around the world, and you will all be participating in a common text messaging environment. Presentation software, the likes of which I'm doing right now. Email clients. And this is a term that I tend to use because I was in IT for a while. This is the email software that you use on your computer. The server is where your emails are stored. Apple has in Western North Carolina and in the Bay Area, they have big digital warehouses with servers that your email clients connect to. Group note taking is big nowadays. Apple Notes, Google Keep, Microsoft OneNote, spreadsheets. Who hasn't? I think one of the questions I asked first off was, how many people worked with spreadsheets? And there was quite a few people worked with spreadsheets, with Excel. And image generation software now is real big. So all of these are popular in the work environment. And guess what Apple Intelligence does? It mimics what all of these companies are doing. We will see the way that Google not today, but in the coming two sessions after this, the way that Gemini integrates into Docs, Gmail, Keep, Slides, the way that Microsoft's Copilot AI is integrated into Word, Outlook, OneNote, Excel, and PowerPoint. And what we're going to see today is the way that Apple, in coordination with OpenAI, integrates ChatGPT into their word processor, which is called Pages, into Apple Mail, into Notes, Numbers, and Keynotes. And what is the big item that at least Google and Apple have in their bag of tricks? They have desktop computer software and they have mobile software. So these AI integrations will occur both in the desktop and in the mobiles. I picture myself riding the metro to work, and nowadays you could be doing your text generation on the metro going to work. So let's see if I can't now bring up, I'm going to close that one. Let's look at Apple Intelligence. I'm going to again make desktop 2 available in the share. And then I'm going to put Apple Intelligence. My assumption is that you're seeing the rose-colored glasses.
Yes.
You've seen it advertised, I'm going to guess 15 or 20 times, but they never really detailed what it actually did. It's just that Apple is integrating intelligence into it. They've got their symbols that they use multiple times that we will come across. I only saw this after the fact that I didn't put the page numbers. I'll finish this before, but these are the items first off that we're going to cover. This was probably before the break, is how do you connect in Apple environment to ChatGPT? So that is what Apple Intelligence actually is the integration of ChatGPT into the Apple software environment. Apple put together the front end for the AI. ChatGPT provides the backside, the actual intelligence. The Apple created the software that allows you to interact with the AI. ChatGPT is the AI that you interact with. This is the kicker. Apple Intelligence, the hardware that you have to have in order for this work. The hardware requirement on the desktop is you have to have a newer Mac that has their M processors. I'm not even sure what that M stands for, but Apple has released M1 through M4. I bought one of the M1s, M1 Max I have, or you have to have an iPhone 15 Pro or an iPhone 16. And the reason this is because these are have greater processing power. I think that's the neural processor that is on the iPhone that is new. It's ability to do arithmetic, algebraic functions at the speed of light. Artificial intelligence is being integrated into these items. I'm going to go through really D here. This is an example of a Mac settings screen. This is how you configure your Mac to do what you want it to do. You add software. But if after you update to version 15.2, it adds a new item in the settings menu called Apple Intelligence and Siri. In 15.2, you have to turn this on. My understanding is in 15.3, they turn that on by default. And then after you do that, you might have to exit and then come back in, because ChatGPT extensions will be available. And you may not be able to see the little arrow pointing to the right. It looks like that. You click on that and it opens up this screen here, and you get to set up ChatGPT. And what do you guess you have to do to a ChatGPT? You have to authenticate. I should have waited 7 seconds. You have to authenticate yourself. Remember the know your customer. You cannot do this very easily in an anonymous fashion. So this, if you want to see the terms, you can get a very legalese description there. There's how you do it. You enable ChatGPT to do that, and then it brings up this screen. Make sure that you are clicked to use ChatGPT. The reason I did this is because there are so many steps, and you've now got a print guideline to do it. And then again, you sign into ChatGPT if you have an account with them. If you're paying the $20 a month for their upgraded plan, notice, I think they were someplace up here, they push it. And now I've learned that there is a $200 a month plan with ChatGPT that maybe if you worked in a lawyer's office would guarantee you much more accurate information, much more accurate legal citations. You would have to check your work, of course, but you have a greater possibility there would be minor mistakes instead of major mistakes. Notice this is what happens once I successfully log in. Here's my account. It tells which account I'm using. It allows me to sign out if I were doing work on my home computer. This I thought was very important. There's a daily limit on the number of requests, the number of queries that you can make, the number of inferences that you can request from OpenAI. There are limits. And you can, I have not experimented with this yet. You can have it so that Siri, Apple's voice system, uses ChatGPT. Any questions at this point? That was just the step to get Apple Intelligence to log into it, basically. It's not at first turned on. The first version was not activated. The user had to go in and activate it themselves, both on your computer and on your phone. If you turned on one, you still had to go turn on the other. So now I'm going to show you where it works within Apple Mail. If you use the Apple Mail client software, the email package on Apple, on a computer, this is an example where you you use ChatGPT or Apple Intelligence to create a new message to your staff, let's say. You would go into Apple Mail. This is what Apple Mail looks like on the left here. You'd click new message, and then you'd get this screen here. Notice the new icon. There's a new icon right here. It kind of looks like this Apple icon here. But you can also click in an open space like you were going to begin typing, but then you hit the right mouse button, right click. It brings up what is called the context menu, the list of items that you could do. And the new version puts in writing tools. So again, you have the little arrow pointing to the right that indicates you go to the right. So it's writing tools. So here's writing tools again. You click on writing tools. This is what it gives you here. You can compose a new message. You could summarize or change what's already been written. You can proofread, which, oh my gosh, proofread. You can rewrite it, make it more friendly, more concise, summarize, reduce it to key points. I did not look at all these. I'm emphasizing these points. It may seem overly detailed, but the idea is just to make it blatantly obvious. After you do this 5 times, it doesn't seem as onerous. So here I am. I've right-clicked. I chose writing tools. I chose compose a new message. This is what it comes up with here on the left side. I have enlarged it here, and here is where you put your prompt. Here is where you put your prompt, inference prompt there. Again, I just faked one here, and an example where I entered, it's a text to text prompt. Please write a friendly letter to my mother-in-law thanking her for coming to the family get-together over the holidays. Oh, you can change. I just came up with a very simple one. Here's what it comes up with, and it inserts it into the message, highlighting it, meaning that it's not fully input into it yet. This is the ways that you could refine it, change it, add to it. The AI suggests modifications. That's a new feature that I have not seen in AIs to yet. It not only takes your prompts, it gives you further prompt of how to modify it. So, and then you click a couple of times and it puts the message into an email. Then you reread it multiple times, etc. Notice what you have to reread. You have to put in this information if you so are inclined to put that in. You have to put your mother-in-law's name in it. You have to close with your name. So this is Apple Intelligence in email, item 1. Item 2, let's look at the way that Apple Intelligence, or ChatGPT, is incorporated into Apple Safari, their browser. I've gone to a New York Times website here. I had difficulty figuring this out. Notice this small, tiny symbol at the top of the Safari address bar on the left side looks like this. I imagine that's a computer with the keyboard. If you click that, it brings up highlight bar. And you can do these things. You can turn on highlights. You can show the reader mode is what you want to be able to do. Is you can have in Safari what's called the reader mode. And once you start the reader mode, guess what appears at the top? Again, you've had to turn on reader mode. It has summarize up at the top. And the AI then within Safari, whatever web page you are on will summarize the document. This is an example of the summary that it produced. So it, in effect, read the entire article, summarized it. Imagine this in the workplace. If you're reading the corporation notes for the week, or if you work in the government and you're getting all of the new notifications from the Office of Personnel Management or the Office of Budget and Management, with the Office of Personnel, OPM or OMB. There's long documents. If they're on websites, you could use this to summarize it. Let's now look at Apple Messages, instant messaging. It used to be text messaging. I think it's Apple iMessages is what it's called. Here is an example of what it looks like on your computer. Using the same scenario, you go to where you normally enter text. You right-click as what's called the context menu, the drop-down box. The terminology is context menu because it changes based upon the context you're in. Notice writing tool. And guess what's going to happen? It's going to look similar to the way it looked like in email generation. Remember back? It Again, it brings it up. You right-click writing tools. I've enlarged it over here. Writing tools, click, shows this. You choose writing tools or compose. I think compose is the one I would use most. Here again are the different options. Send a quick, oh, Maureen, I hope so. I didn't ask you if I could do this, but send a quick message to my wife telling her how lucky I am, especially on this Christmas day. And I put it in, and then this is new part. The AI, ChatGPT or OpenAI, said, "What's your wife's name?" It asked me that. I supplied it and hit send. So first I wrote the prompt. Remember our seminar, geez, how long ago was it, where we talked about how to engineer the prompts? Put that in. It inserts it right into the field, into the where you would normally type. It allows you to refine it, make it more romantic. I think I hit that twice after I put this in there so that it was more romantic. If an autistic spectrum guy like me would, and there it is. I actually put it in, and you highlight it. You have to put your name in it. I cannot overemphasize enough, folks, the importance of rereading, reading first off, and rereading the text that AI generates. You must do that before you hit send, before you put the letter in the envelope and lick the stamp to put on it. You must read and reread it if you're working by yourself. You know, I was used to having a staff work with me. They weren't my staff, but we were a team, and people would reread it. After I've looked at it for 2 weeks, I'm blind to it. So that's a huge problem that individuals have. You don't have an institution to ensure that your errors are corrected, and everybody makes mistakes. So there it is. I sent it, and Maureen thought, and it was heartfelt, but there was a certain depreciation for it having started with text with an AI generation. But me being partially on the autism spectrum, I have difficulty verbalizing romance. AI might even be a little bit better at it. So what have we looked at so far? We've looked at Safari, we've looked at email, its integration, it's starting to ring bells in people's heads. We looked at text messages, and we saw that email and text messages, it looks alike. It's a similar process. Now we're going to look at Apple Notes. I've experimented with Notes. This is a very valuable tool that's available from multiple companies. Apple has Notes. Google has Keep. Google Keep. Apple has, or excuse me, Microsoft has Microsoft OneNote, where I can share a common workspace. I can share a note with my team, and we can discuss a particular topic. I could put a document out there that we're going to send out from corporate headquarters. I'm talking to the regional sales managers, and I'm saying, okay, guys, here's your chop at the letter. I've got you online. We're in a conference call. Show me where you want changes. notice this new icon that with 15.2, it becomes available, and just yesterday or Monday, 15.3 becomes available. I found that out because I was on the phone with Apple. And what's the first thing they say when you ask for tech help? Have you updated to the most recent version? This is what Apple Notes looks like. And over the remaining sessions, you will see what Google Keeps looks like, and you will see what Microsoft OneNote looks like. But this is what it looks like in it. You can create a note, and this is what a note looks like. I went to a web page, Perplexity, had it generate an output and put it in this note. I could share this with everybody, I think, in this session. I could share a note and we could discuss things and you could make changes if I permitted it, if I granted you the rights to comment on a document, or you can add further materials with Apple Intelligence. And guess how it's done? You're going to see that same pattern is you do a right click or you touch that symbol that was up there. I don't even know what that one is. Oh my goodness, there's even new one, a newer one. You probably put audio in. Is that what that is? Probably. Here's again the Apple Intelligence. Have we seen this menu before? So they've perfected this particular paradigm, this particular process, and they've plugged it into all of these tools for Apple. And so, oh, well, I think that's it. Let's see if I can go back. So you could, and I did this one here by choosing compose, and guess what? It's the same menu structure. I didn't want to take your time on that, but I did. Look at that example. So let's look at a couple of these. Oh, we have break here, don't we? I'm going to exit this, and I'm going to stop the share. Any questions? I'm going to do. Hey,
one here. Anne Belanger says, Apple seems wed to ChatGPT. How would this work if there was some reason that they'd like to change this partner, better features with another partner, financial problems or ethical lapses with OpenAI? Also, how does each partner benefit financially by the partnership? Make Apple more competitive. You have to upgrade your devices to use it? Question mark. Is there maybe a licensing fee to ChatGPT, or is there an expectation that it would be more likely people will pay for a better GPT subscription only?
I think that last part of that question is the response. I'm not, there was huge investigations into these AI companies, all of these companies. So you may be aware that the financial arrangement right now between Apple Corporation and Google Corporation is Google search is the default search engine on Apple iPhone. Apple makes 80 million iPhones a quarter. No, is it a quarter or a year? I get very confused. Let's say that they make 45 million iPhones a quarter. every 90 days. And the default on it when somebody goes to search is Google. Google pays Apple $12 billion a year simply to do that. So that's it. $12 billion a year that Apple gets for, oh, we're just going to put www.google.com right here. We get $12 billion for that. So the benefit for ChatGPT is they've got huge amounts of volume that's going to start flowing their way. One, they get intelligence from looking at the types of requests that come. Apple, although they don't sell it, knows information about me. I gave them information to get an Apple credit card. I get 3% off when I buy equipment, but they know my credit history. So they know my queries, they know my credit history, they know a little bit more about me, like my birthday, etc. They can put all of that information to generate actionable information. That's the benefit for ChatGPT. I would imagine Apple built into that little hooks, they're called, where Apple builds the interface, the user interface, the UI. Apple builds that. Then they hook that UI into ChatGPT, and then so they get to figure out there's actionable intelligence for ChatGPT, there's actionable intelligence, actionable commercial intelligence for Apple. And Apple, I can guarantee you, there's a problem with Altman. If something goes whack, they just unhook from ChatGPT and hook it to what's Claude. Claude is from Anthropic that's backed by Amazon. So they would, I mean, it's not trivial, but they've planned for that potentiality. Apple's too smart. They've got more lawyers than software engineers. So somebody thought that exact question that Anne came up with. So I think
here's
did I
another
answer?
question. Did you say that Apple AI will only work on an Apple computer with M chips and not with Intel chips?
That is what I discovered. Yeah. This is the New York Times. Here's an article on.
Can you make it larger?
Let's see if I can make it larger. Plus. That okay?
Yep.
And Maureen and I, this was very meaningful, having been through something almost similar. So who knows how long this is? But up at the top is the icon. What's that plus sign there? That's new. I haven't. Oh, who knows? Turn it on. Show reader. There it is. There's the full article. Well, that's not the full article, but it's summarized. I can summarize it. You can see it going, reading it. There's there's another little drop down here that they can, it looks like it only did the first draft. What was that one that was big time this morning in the New York Times, Maureen? What it was?
Oh,
Uh,
the big big article.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
Yes. Yes. I'm looking here for Patel before I begin. So Let's do a search. I'm not seeing the search bar. The search bar at the top. There's my search bar. Nope. Home delivery. Bet it's over here. Nope, not going to work. I can't find the Patel. I'll go down.
Old news already.
Yeah, well, that's weird. Chunky says 5 minute read. This one's about who is the TSI. No, not top secret. But then again, read it, show reader, summarize all of this information. Here's the whole article, a longer article, and it summarizes up here. Do I need to read that? I can read in just a few minutes and it's done. Let's quickly, let's go through iPhone. I didn't clean this up well enough, so I apologize beforehand. Key item being you're seeing Apple Intelligence on iPhone. Sorry, I'll clean that up before the final version. Again, I did all of this development with an iPhone 15 Pro Max, or the new phone. Apple's current model is iPhone 16. They've got 4 or 5 different models that you can buy. Plus, if you use your Apple card, you get 3% off. Again, all of these processes are going to be similar, but they look different. Is the only difference. Once you update your phone to version 18.2 or 18.3, it adds the item Apple Intelligence in Siri. You turn it on. You can use different voices if you want, which I find it fun to do. The intelligence is on. You scroll down the screen because it's not on the screen that pops up. You click on ChatGPT, the little arrow pointing to the right, and then it gives you the chance to log in to ChatGPT, which I have already done. I didn't put the limits on here. But notice the upsell right below the data limit. There's a limit on the amounts. I've run into that limit a couple times. I think when I was putting these slides together, I ran into that, and they want you to upgrade to either the $20 a month or the $200 a month versions. Here's Apple Intelligence in messages. What I use most on my phone is messages to Maureen or to my buddies around the world. Again, instead of right click, it's press and hold. Press and hold brings up I started a new message first. I entered the text entry area. I press and hold. I got to change this icon here. Press and hold, it brings up the context menu with writing tools in it. I tap on writing tools. It brings up at the bottom part of the phone this information. I haven't figured out why they don't put compose on the screen. You have to scroll down to get to compose, and then you click that arrow to the right. You compose with ChatGPT. This is what it looks like. It's a glowing box once you can type in your prompt. And please enter the prompt for the inference you desire. Please write a note to niece Mary that I'll meet her at the airport as planned. I'm looking forward to her visit. Add some humor where you can with love. So then you hit the go. One, you enter the prompt. It's glowing. It's the pink color that I tried to go on. Two is you hit the go button. Then it gives you a chance to look at it within the text message window. You hit done. You can edit it, or you can hit revert to go back to step 2. You edit it. Of course, you don't leave your name in it. Then they would know that it's a text. Oh, this is the one that I press and hold is what I. Then you can click summarize email with ChatGPT. You're going to start to see similar patterns. Within email, you get an email after you've turned on ChatGPT on one of the newer phones. Up at the top, it adds a button. You can see it. I opened, here we go, from Apple Card. It used to be from Goldman Sachs. I think they've changed that. It's got summarize, shows up there now. Imagine you're in an office there where you get lengthy emails and you don't want to read the whole thing, so you summarize. It processes it, it gives you lines that happen, then it shows you the summary of the email, and then you can determine, should I print this out? Should I read it? If you were a supervisor, should I forward it to my staff and have them read it for comment? Again, thinking more in the business environment, you're in a legal environment, you're in a design shop, you're in a government office, you're in a nonprofit, all of the emails you're getting every day. This is how you can speed up the process if you want to speed up the process. Here you can, so you can get a summary of email. You can generate responses to email. So this happens to just be a junk email. You hit the standard respond within Apple Mail on an iPhone. You hit reply. These are the options that you usually get when you've hit the first reply. Then you hit reply again. You get a blank space like this. Yes, what you do, I use this symbol now. You press and hold, press, tap, and hold. It brings up the context menu. Guess what's been added to the context menu? Writing tools. There's your writing tools. There's scroll down. You scroll down, guess what you see? Compose. Compose the message. You insert the message and click done, and you are given an option before done to edit it and then hit send. The question that I have not figured out is, does the AI know this existing message? Does it read this message somehow and know the context in which it's to be responding? That I don't know the answer to. My initial idea is no, it does not know that. It does not read the message. It generates your response both solely upon your prompt. It does not have the message itself as the letter when you respond. It does not. And I'm going to be proven wrong because that sounds like it would be relatively simple to do, but a terribly complex idea. Send the message. Imagine being a supervisor. Oh, this is the big timer image playground. I saw this ad a number of times. I actually thought this was for kids. Notice the icon that is being used. I regrettably, this is my bias. I saw that and I said, this is not directed at adults. Keeping in mind who is the biggest owner of Disney stock? Steve Jobs' widow. If you remember, he owned, what was that? Still out there. The company that makes the cartoons. They were bought by Disney. And so Disney, Apple Corporation owns a big chunk of Disney. Pixar. Remember, Steve Jobs was at Pixar, came back to Apple. Pixar became a component of Apple, I think, and then they sold themselves to Disney when Steve Jobs died. And his wife, I think, is one of the largest stockholders, owns 10%. Laureen Powell owns 10% of Disney through Apple stock. So this is what it looks like. This is what you saw the first screen. I went into it. I was presented with the plus sign to start a new one. The paradigm this uses is not easily understandable to me. It gives you a slew of icons that you can use, that you may use to form part of the image you're generating. You don't have to use these, but it encourages you to use these, and you can show more. But here's the prompt box. You can type something in here. You can see the example I put in developing the materials. Show me a snowbound mountain in the Alps with a sunny day, and that it generated. But here, let's see if I generate another one. Generate a desert beach near Jeddah, which is in Saudi Arabia. When I was putting this together, that was in the news that they're opening a new resort on the Red Sea in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So I wanted it to make a beach. There's a beach scene in Jeddah. And then press and hold on that image. And you can copy the image, save the image, share the image, or you can edit it. I forgot exactly how I got to edit, but put an exclusive resort overlooking this beach in Jeddah. So then it makes 4. I think you can swipe left or right, and it will show you the 4 different images that notice I can add these images or these icons to this image, but these are canned icons. I couldn't understand that particular paradigm. I can add more text down here at the bottom. And as you add these different prompts, it puts them together to form the image is what it does. So it adds Red Sea, desert beach on the Red Sea with a small, tastefully exclusive resort. Again, press and hold, tap and hold to bring up the context menu. And then these were the images that, again, I made 5 or 6 mistakes. These are the images, again, the impasto, that daubing, D-A-B, when you to put globs of paint, you paint with it that like Van Gogh did. That's called impasto with a bright sunny days with clouds. It's not a bad image in my book. I would use that. I could try to sell that there at that new resort that is being put up. Here's notes again on the phone. Notice this new symbol here. I click on an existing note. Here's my I bar that it used to be called, text entry area. I click this button. No, once you activate it, this button will show up in multiple locations. You get this common screen. Click compose. You had to scroll down to get to compose. You compose a message. That's a flaw that I have to delete. You compose it. Here's the example that I use. Please cite 5 major tasks required to know how to use effectively a word processor. What word processing skills do you need to know in order to effectively use Google Docs? Same skill set you can relatively easy transfer to Microsoft Word, or you could transfer to LibreOffice, which is the open source. So I had the AI and notes generate this. Here are common skills that are used in word processing. So this is what should be taught, and then you apply these skills to the word processor that you use. And then finally, in in Apple Pages. Now, I don't use Apple Pages, which is Apple's word processing program, because I don't understand it. I don't understand its paradigm. What is the user interface? Why is it do what it does? Why is it designed the way it is? It just didn't seem to work that well for me. But this is what Pages looks like when you start it up. It has a number of templates like resume, etc. Resume, thesis, blank. I choose blank. Here's what blank looks like. Instead of right click, it should be tap and hold. So you tap and hold, or this is the icon. Anybody know what this is? What this symbol is? It's a mathematical symbol of some sort. I should ask ChatGPT, what is that symbol? Guess what? You get the same paradigm, the same visual paradigm that you got on all of these others. Write 5 paragraphs about the necessary word processing skills. Click go. You're done. Here it is. And then you have to know what Pages is for. And I think Pages is the desktop layout package mostly. Or you would have a team of people working on a document where I would say, or Maureen would say, Jimmy, you do number 4 there. You got to enhance number 4 there. I would go online and edit it, and it would change while she's looking at it and putting together the whole document while I'm working on the little parts, and we send it back to Washington where we've got somebody who's working on part 3 and they get that together. And then by the end of the day, we've got a long document. And we have Apple AI, ChatGPT check the final layout before we go. So questions, last few minutes of the session here. ChatGPT is what it's used for. Apple has the front end interface, the user interface, the UI, or the user experience is defined by Apple. The UX and the UI are defined by Apple, but the back end engine is run by OpenAI or ChatGPT. Who's paying who in that relationship? I couldn't tell you. I'm sure it's private. It'll come out someday. But Apple did not have to hire the people with the expertise in intelligence, in artificial intelligence. Hugely expensive. These guys that really know what they're doing are getting $1 million a year plus equity in the firm. They do not have to have the servers that run the queries. The training is huge cost, a huge compute. There's a huge amount of tokenization of the information they've scraped. They have to tokenize it and then absorb it into the database. That's huge task. That's absorbed by OpenAI. Apple only has to define the user experience. So it's a mutual symbiosis they've got going. It seems to work. And by themselves, Apple could not compete with Google. We're going to see Google. Google does the exact same thing.